And the ninth, it turns out it's easier to record these in groups of two. This one is from Steph, in the form of a police report. This one I'm calling Wildcat. No justice for the nerdy. Police give up on investigation of Games Club president's death. Police have admitted that the search for information regarding the murder of Russ Cale, late president of Victoria University of Wellington's Role-Playing and Board Games Club, has led to a dead end. When asked for comment, one of the investigators assigned to the case said, "This Wildcat thing is one of the most extensive and the creepiest cover-ups I've ever seen. Whoever created the game worked really hard to keep it a secret. I mean, I guess I can't say I blame them. It could really damage someone's career if it came out that they'd created something that boring. The kid must have been getting close to uncovering something, but he really should have known better than to poke his nose into it. A film studies student has no business playing investigator. He should have left it to the professionals." Following last year's initial round of what the media have dubbed the Wildcat Savagings, many of those connected with Wellington's gaming community went into hiding for their own safety, unable to cope with the harsh reality of living in a world where their friends had met their bloody ends because of a love of gaming that had led to their becoming friends in the first place. The culprit of these horrific deaths was none other than their connection with Wildcat, a board game of mysterious origins said to be so tedious and uninteresting, but many club members claimed, in what retrospectively became a bitterly ironic twist of fate, that they'd choose death over having to play it. However, rather than retreating from life in the public eye, Cale and a small, intrepid band of followers persisted in probing for answers, trawling the dark netherworld of underground internet gaming sites, attending conventions in Auckland, New York, Beijing, Paris, anywhere a lead or an anonymous tip might have led them. When asked about his motivation for insisting upon investigating the killings in the face of so many obstacles and such unimaginable peril, Cale told one of our reporters, "This whole thing started out because of a joke. Who'd want to play a game where you have to do freaking paperwork? We'd arranged a session as a fundraiser to buy magic cards for gamers in third world countries, but then everyone connected with it started dropping like flies. Marion was supposed to provide snacks for the players, but we found her in the kitchen with her head stuck in a cake tin, suffocated on her own baking. Daniel was in charge of keeping track of how much money we'd raised, but someone stole the club's bank card, carved it into a shiv and stabbed him in the back 36 times. Alex was doing publicity, and I can't even talk about that one. I can't imagine how sick anyone would have to be to think of doing that to a human body with a poster and some thumbtacks." Cale's face grew dark as he continued. This is more about more than getting answers. This is about justice. It's beyond personal now. Gamers already get enough shit from mainstream society calling us socially maladjusted losers without having to worry about serial killers. Curling his hands into fists, his body shaking with quiet yet unmistakable rage, Cale said, "Some of my friends are living in the hut now because they just didn't feel safe around Vic anymore. I can't let this rest until they, and the ones who are even less lucky than they are, have been avenged. And the fundraiser was my idea, so I'm the one who's responsible." After last year's initial string of deaths, the killings continued with alarming regularity. Following every murder, a note would appear in Cale's mailbox: "If you'd rather die than play my game, then die. Stick with D&D next time, losers. Fundraise this bitch." Forensic analysis revealed that the messages had been written in the victim's blood. Cale and his surviving friends merely worked with greater and greater intensity upon the event of each subsequent death, eventually confining themselves to an underground bunker, rarely sleeping, taking turns to venture out for supplies in the dead of night, pausing from their work only to engage in role-playing sessions or to marathon videos on YouTube in order to keep their spirits up. The Wildcat Justice and Investigation League's activities were forced to a halt, however, when Cale was found dead in his private office, its walls covered in artificial oil drilling paperwork and images of claw prints. Following his murder, Cale's remaining allies joined their friends in hiding, and no talk has been made of continuing the investigation, pointing to the possibility that their work was naught but a pointless and tragic waste of time. One of our reporters managed to contact a surviving Games Club member who wishes to keep his identity hidden, a young man who was forced to give up his promising future in computer science as he fled Wellington for his own survival's sake. When pressed for comment about Cale's death, he said, "Well, I guess it kind of sucks. There aren't a lot of decent GMs left in Wellington these days, and now we're never going to get to find out how that campaign he was running ended." With a regretful sigh, his eyes began to mist over as he stared into the distance. He laughed a little, a haunting, humourless sound, the laugh of someone who has little cause for laughter in his life, as he continued with a shrug, "But I guess that's what fanfiction's for."